Hi and welcome to this second React tutorial video. Here we will look at props. We will pick up where we left off with our portfolio site and make our components more reusable. Let's begin. Let's try to understand what props really is. Here in this illustration we see two almost identical pictures. This represents our portfolio site with different props. This means that we have the same component, but different props is passed to it. That means we can have different behavior depending on the prop. So on the left side, you see props passed to the component. In this case, each component has one prop. The navbar has a color prop, which is either yellow or blue. The text prop for the header component has either the hello world or welcome to my portfolio page passed to that component. The image and the content props are the same, but for the footer component has also the color prop with the color red and the color green passed to it. So to summarize, props are properties that describe our component. This is what truly makes our component reusable. And we'll take a look at how we can take advantage of props in our application right now. Let's begin with our navbar. What kind of prop can we attach to the navbar component? Let's start our development server. Now that we have our development server running, we see that our navbar is stretching across the screen with two text items, and the color is kind of purple color. Can you imagine some of the properties of this navbar? And what properties would be helpful to maybe make this component more reusable? Going back to our code, let's attach a color prop to the navbar. By doing this, we can customize our navbar to our needs. Let's just call the prop color, followed by an equal sign, quotes, and let's just hard code the value blue. Let's save. This by itself is not enough though. Now we have only passed props to our navbar component. Now we need to receive that prop in our navbar component. So let's head over to our navbar component and let's write the code for receiving the props. The way you receive props is by, in the parentheses, type props. This makes props available for the navbar component. That includes all values sent as props from parent components. In this case, we are receiving the color prop from the app component. Let's begin by testing that our prop is being received by a navbar component. We do this by console logging our prop value for the color. To do this, we move inside our components above the return statement. Here we can write JavaScript, including our console log statement. Here, just write console.log followed by quotes. Inside those quotes are just a placeholder text. Just write color followed by a colon, and then after the quotes, a comma, and then the value for the prop, which is props.color. The way you use props in your component is by typing props followed by a dot and the value name. In our case, that is color. Then head over to your browser where your local host server is running. If you're using Google Chrome, hit the right mouse button and find the Inspect tab. In the Inspect view, find the Console tab. And here we can see the color is blue. This confirms that the color prop has successfully been sent from our app component to our navbar component. Now let's use this prop to actually change the color of our navbar. In our wrapping div element, type style next to our class name to access our style attribute. By using this style tag, we can actually style our component inline instead of going through our style sheet. By using our prop here, we can create a dynamic style, which is customizable from our parent component. Type style to access our style attribute, followed by an equal sign and 2 curly braces. Next, we need the style key, which for us is background color. Then, followed by accessing our prop with props.color. Let's save this and take a look at our localhost server. And here we see our navbar's color change to blue as expected. Now that we have successfully passed props from the app.js file to our navbar component, let's continue with our header file. Navigate back to your app.js file. Let's take a quick look at our development server. Our header component consists of a title text and an image. What are possible things we could change with this component through props? Well, our title is probably a good place to start. Let's head back to our component to make a prop that makes it possible to change the title of our page. Let's call this prop title, followed by an equal sign, then quotes, and inside the quotes, this text can be totally your own, but let's just say, welcome to my portfolio page. This alone does not make sure that our prop is received by our header component. We need to make sure that the header component receives the prop from the app component. So let's do that now. Head over to your header component. In the header functions parentheses, insert props. This makes props accessible to the header component. If you notice the slight opacity to the text prop, that is because props is declared but not used. Let's change that. For us to be able to change the hard-coded text to a prop value, we need to use JavaScript. And if you remember, JavaScript needs to be inserted into curly braces. So instead of the text my portfolio, change it to curly braces, followed by props.title. Hit save and head over to our development server, and here we see our title has changed. The reason we need to use curly braces is because we are inside a JSX element. Let's continue with our projects component. In this component, we have 3 hard-coded values in an array. Let's change this so our values are coming from our parent component and passed down as props. Over our return statement, let's make a new variable with const, followed by the variable name. Let's just call it my projects array. We'll put 3 strings in our array. What these strings are doesn't really matter. It could be whatever you like. We will just put in game, site, and program. This is now a variable that we are able to pass to our component as prop. So let's do that now. Let's just start by calling it myProjectsArray, then equal sign, followed by curly braces because we're accessing JavaScript. And now we pass our variable inside those curly braces. That way we pass it to that component. The fact that the names are identical could be a little confusing. Let's change our prop name to be simply projects. Now our prop name is different from our prop value. Let's save this and head over to our projects component. Let's receive props by inserting props into the parentheses of the function. We can delete the hard-coded array we made earlier. We still need to access JavaScript, so we can keep the curly braces. Inside, just write props dot followed by the prop variable name, which is projects. Then, because this is an array, we need to access the index of the array, the correct index, which for the first element would be the number 0, followed by number 1 and then number 2. So for the second element, it would be the exact same thing, props.projects and then array brackets, and then the first index. So not 0 but 1, and then the third element, exactly the same thing, just that the index is 2. Let's save and take a look at our development server. And here we see game, site, program. So our props are being correctly received by our app component. Let's move on to our final component, the footer. Let's take a closer look at our footer on the page. 2 things makes our footer distinguishable from other components. It's the text and the color. These are examples of properties that we can change through props. Let's head back to our app.js file. For simplicity, let's just change the color like the navbar. We start by naming the prop. In this case, we will just call it color, followed by equal signs and quotes, and we'll just make it green. Let's head back to our footer component and make sure that we receive props. And as before with the navbar, we are going to use inline styling. Let's access the style attribute, followed by an equal sign and double curly braces. Then quotes and background color, then colon, and then our props, which is props.color. Let's save and take a look in the browser. And here we see our footer turn green. Going back to our app.js file, we can see we have passed props to all our components. Now we have made our components more flexible and reusable. For example, if we wanted to make another navbar that had a different color, we would just copy our component and in our color prop, insert a different color. And now we can see we have two different navbars, but they're receiving two different props, which makes the color different for each component. This shows that we can use the same component but with different props, and in that way reuse our components in a useful way. If we for some reason needed two navbars, one red and one blue, this will be an efficient solution to that problem. Because we haven't written any new code, we have just reused our old code. This is the benefits of props. Thank you for watching, and if you like this content, please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.